Hello and welcome to the Team Bus, the companion podcast to Beyond the Slipstream, our main show. I'm Matt Harper here with my brother Justin, and we're going to get into some cycling stories that we didn't cover in the main show this week, starting with what I would consider the biggest story of the week, which is the retirement of one Caleb Ewan. Were you shocked?
Completely taken off guard, like especially considering that he has won, very recently.
Twice.
So just out of left field, I think it speaks to the something that we were talking about early with Demi Vollering, that it just sounds like you know his heart, and maybe there's more to it, but I mean, from what I read, it sounds like his heart just isn't in it. Like the feeling that he gets from winning just is not, like, the drive is not there. Like, he's not getting what he wants out of those wins and out of racing, and so I'm sure that it is a mental health type of situation possibly with him, and it's really sad to see. I'm glad that he went out, kind of on top. But I am very sad to see Caleb Ewan retire.
Yeah, I mean, I'll push back a little bit. Like, I don't, if anything, to me, it's an indication of good mental health on Caleb Ewan's part. I
Yes.
think he was not able to truly assess his. I don't know that you can call it a comeback, but he made the transition to Ineos, and uh he hadn't had a win in quite some time. So it sort of felt like a comeback. It was a new team, and then boom, first race out of the gate, he literally wins stage one of the Coppi Bartoli, and it's like, wow, he's back. It's the Caleb Ewan comeback, and I think because it was his first race, it was kind of hard to judge. I think he came away from the first race and he was like, hmm, like I don't feel as ecstatic as I was expecting to feel and as I used to feel, but maybe I'm just in shock because it's my first race back and this is crazy. Let me see. Let me give it a little time here. So he gave it some time, and then he gets that second win 2 weeks later at the Itzulia Bass Country race, and I think then he was like, "Yep, this is not the same." And this is way, way, way too much work and effort and sacrifice and time away from my family to not feel the way that I used to feel when I won races, and so I'm going to step away. I mean, I think you know the that's a very mature decision to make for a guy, and with all the wins and everything, I mean, he's not a guy that's worried about the future. I don't think, and I'm pretty sure he's got a family, and um, it was a good choice, as disappointing as it is, because like you, I'm very sad to see him go. I loved watching him, just seeing him on the knife edge of those sprints when he won, and he would just get so low. He was just so tiny, and just it was fun watching that guy sprint. I always enjoyed him, like when he came on Garen Thomas's podcast a couple of times. He was always just like so positive and just like such a good guy and just a good dude. He seems like the kind of guy that would you'd love to be friends with. You'd love to have that guy part of your crew and yeah, I'm happy for him, but I'm sad to see him go.
Yeah, no doubt. Chapo to Caleb Ewan, man. What a great
Yeah,
career.
let's just list it. He won 5 Tour de France stages, he won 5 Giro stages, and he won one Vuelta stage. So he's in that exclusive club of guys that have won stages in all 3 Grand Tours, plus lots of other stages in like smaller stage races. And he never quite won MSR, but he came second twice. So that would have been cool if he could have won MSR. But
Yeah.
yeah, chapeau to Caleb Ewan.
Um, your next thing, like, completely intrigues me. Can you go into that?
Sure, sure. So Astana, Team Astana, the Kazakh team, is one of a few handful of fulls of teams that are like in this like relegation battle, and we've discussed the whole relegation system before, and it's similar to the same thing they have like in soccer. over in England, I believe, where like teams can get relegated up and down the divisions, or I don't know what they call them over there, the different leagues. And it's like the English Premier League is the top one, and then there's whatever league, and
Champions
um,
League and
yeah,
yeah.
Champions League, and all the way down, and like teams move up and down this system, and it's sort of the same way in cycling. So right now, Cofidis, Picnic Post NL, and Astana are all are all in this fight to stay in the top level. And Astana has really crushed it because they have taken an approach towards this thing where they just want to get points. And as we discussed in that prior episode, the points are not necessarily doled out from the UCI in the way that you would think that they would be doled out. And sometimes uh, a, a win in a lesser race can get you almost as many points as a win in a bigger race for whatever reason. Um,
Because
and
it's one of the better things that the UCI has done is they weight those points on these smaller races to be
Mhm.
higher to try to entice riders to come race these races. And that's genius in my opinion. One of the best things
Yeah,
that they've done.
and it creates almost like and it almost creates like a side competition in a way. I mean, the big teams are not worried about this, but it does create this other thing that's going on in professional cycling that doesn't involve everybody, but is its own juicy little competition and storyline. And so what you have here is is Astana taking this sort of unconventional approach where like we know we're not going to be competitive in the big races. So we're not going to take a whole team and send it to, send the whole team, the strongest team we can to Milan San Remo and, shoot for, try to somehow win this race and maybe we get a top 10 or whatever. They're like, nah, we're not going to concentrate on that. We're sending three strong guys to, whatever, the Tour of Turkey. And we're going to try to just mop up wins at the Tour of Turkey. Like we're going to put our absolute best team and we're going to treat the Tour of Turkey like like the big teams treat the Tour de France. And they go in there. So they actually ended last season well below Lotto and Israel Premier Tech, below Uno X, which are all second division teams. They started with 2,000 point deficit to Arkea. They started with a 4,700 point deficit to Cofidis, right? So over the off season, they pick up Wout Poels. They pick up Champuzan. They pick up Diego Ulisi. They pick up Sergio Higuita, Mike Tunison. These are all like pretty strong riders, right? They're straight up tell these guys they pick up, you are here for points farming, right? That is our one and only goal. We don't care about winning. We want to get multiple riders in top tens. It's the most important thing we can do because top 10 riders are the ones that get the big points for races. So they go to the Tour of Turkey. Wout Poels, Harold Lopez take first and second in GC. On that very same day is the final day of the Tour of Turkey. They win. They win the final stage with. Uh, they win the final stage of Tour of Turkey with Malicelli, and then they went 1-2 in the Feynman Ardennes Classic with Max Cantor and Case Bowl. And same day, they took fourth in the GC in Romandy with Fortunato, who also got a stage win in Romandy. So almost 1,000 points earned in one day. Um, they have already surpassed Arkea, and the 4,700 point deficit they had to Cofidis is now under 700, and they're only 160 behind Picnic Post NL. The
Well,
only
and
two teams.
Cofidis has had a really good year too with they've had a bunch of wins. What's the guy? I love him. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. That keeps winning. Oh
I can't
shit, it's
remember.
gonna kill me.
Well, the only to give you an idea of how well Astana has done at this game, the only two teams that have accumulated more points this season than Astana is UAE and Lidl Track, who have been winning some big races. So, uh, pretty incredible story right there. They're
That's
like back from
incredible
the brink.
company.
Yeah, amazing. So Going to be fun seeing what happens with that. While you are looking that up,
Yeah,
I want to
it's
give
gonna
a
kill me.
quick shout out to Michael Matthews. I heard an interesting stat. Michael Matthews has won at least one race in every season that he's raced, which is 16, except for one season. There was one season he did not get a win. That is some consistency. Like I was saying last week, Bling,
Oh,
he just every year he finds a way to win.
Milan
So,
Frentin.
oh yeah, front
Yeah,
down.
and Aaron Booz had a great year as well for that team. And if it wasn't for those two guys, I bet that they would have already taken them over.
Hmm.
All right, let me pull my notes back up. All right. Um, looks like you got another. You have another cycling topic as well.
Lenny Martinez from Bahrain. I just said that we should be watching this guy much more carefully. He is like the current great French hope. He took a stage win in Romandy, second on GC, stage win in Paris Nice. Last year he had 5 wins. He's 21 years old, and you got to ask the question: is this the guy that could be the next French Grand Tour winner? Does he have the stamina to stay strong over a 3-week Grand Tour? Could he sneak onto the podium at this year's Tour de France? Um,
I mean, I
Dude
think
is
anything's possible for that guy, dude.
strength to
He's been
strength.
getting better and better and better as he's gone along over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to say the TT is obviously the danger point for him because he's such a small guy. Um, but is there a scenario where all the big guns go to the Giro and the Tour, and he finds himself in a strong bargaining position in the Vuelta? You know,
I mean, it's entirely possible. I mean, especially look at if you look at like how the Giro's going, this year without you don't have any Pog or Jonas in there, and it's an infinitely more uh, interesting race because you have a lot of different possibilities. So you
I,
put him in one of those types of races, absolutely. I think he is.
I'd be curious to go back and see how Nairo Quintana won his Giro. I think Nairo may have won the Vuelta as well, um, because he's one of those diminutive, climby guys, but somehow found a way to win a Grand Tour to get through the TT portions with enough time in his pocket. Um, I was just like kind of sitting here wondering to myself, like, so could Eleni Martinez um, go in with the strategy of like, okay, these are the big mountain stages, and not only do I need to win these two stages, but like I got to grab a couple of big chunks of time on everybody to buffet myself when I get to the TT. Um,
Between that and bonus seconds, I mean, scooping up climbs,
hmm
things like that. I mean, that's like,
hmm
you know,
hmm
I mean, look, it can be done. It can absolutely be done.
I'd love to
And
see it.
he's got years to figure it out.
Exactly, exactly. So keep your eye on Lenny Martinez. If all you Francophiles out there that are like me, hoping to see, always wanting to see France do well. Um, what do you got cycling
Okay,
wise?
so we'll do some quoting quotables or whatever you want to call it. Um, Adam Blythe speaking on Jonas Vingegaard. Um, he still managed to beat. This is a quote. He still managed to beat the best Tade we had seen so far. He has a much better preparation than last year. If I were UAE team member, it's XRG. I would be worried about him. When Jonas is in top form, Tade has never beaten him. I love that quote. I think that bodes. He's absolutely correct. I think that bodes very well for seeing them together. Go up against each other head to head. Um, I think the Criterium de Dauphiné is going to be fireworks to see. What to expect for the tour. Um, what do you think about what Adam had to say?
I would have to agree, um, for sure.
Um, so this one is interesting. I made this note prior to Wout's second in stage one of the Giro, but Wout Van Forth was already calling his failure shot ahead of the Giro. This was his quote. I'm heading into the Giro with question marks. Unfortunately, I got sick last week, and that meant my preparation was far from ideal. After Amstel, I wasn't able to do any real training. I kept having to adjust things. I had an infection that kept lingering. So, to be honest, I'm going into this not really knowing where the legs are at. The chance of being good right away is much smaller. I just hope my body responds well to the first stages. Of course, we'll give it a go on Friday, but we'll see.
Hmm. I wasn't
Like,
aware that he had gotten sick.
so, and like tempering I mean, is this just him tempering the expectations, to the media?
Could be, or maybe him just being honest. I don't know. I mean, but then again, first stage, he's a couple of tire thicknesses away from
Uh,
Maglia Rosa. So
maybe it's
maybe he
tactical.
is
I don't know. I just thought I
bet
found it
hedging.
very, very weird that right before he's kind of calling his shot, saying like, "Hey, if I'm not there, it's because I was sick." I don't know. Just
Hmm.
thought it was interesting to note. Um, got a got a couple quotes from the man Geraint Thomas. Uh, did an interview with the Guardian this week, and speaking on Tom Pidcock, I don't think whatever issues Tom had were the reason for the whole team lacking a couple of results. I miss him. He'd still be great to have around. He's still riding well, isn't he? The narrative around the team is a big thing. I stay in my own little bubble most of the time, and I've still been able to be successful. Now that there are more positive stories about the way the team is racing, that also helps. When people are writing negative stuff all the time, it is easy to believe.
Interesting. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's cool, man. That's cool. We still don't know what was happening with Pidcock himself,
Right.
and as Garrett just says, he's in his own little bubble, so he probably doesn't know either. But I do like the fact that he's like, yeah, just between him and I like the guy. I miss him.
I mean,
That's a nice
really,
thing for him to say.
do you expect anything less from G? I mean, like I
Of course
feel
not.
like that is par for the course for him, but like I'm glad that he, is willing to come out and say it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm so looking forward to his post racing career. But I pray to God that he stays in our lives somehow. I mean, I hope the podcasts keep going, or you know, he becomes a pundit or something like.
Well,
Don't leave us, Garrett.
that leads right into my next quote from Geraint Thomas,
Oh, sweet.
speaking on what to expect after this season. I think I've got a lot to offer on performance and going after bike races. There'd be a lot to learn as well, which is also exciting. It all depends on the role I'd end up doing, but that's the type of challenge I'd be looking for. Bike racing is all I have ever known. It's certainly been up and down, but you just remember the good times. Even the bad times are character building by getting through them. Learning from it and growing from it, it makes you stronger for sure. So, I think that means that he absolutely is probably looking at some sort of, maybe DS role, some sort of role within the team. Um, I don't think that he is done with bike racing. I just think he is done racing his bike.
Hmm, hmm. Well, I hope he keeps podcasting for sure, somehow,
God,
some way.
yes, yes, yes. That'd be absolutely
I
great.
I need
Um,
that in my life.
absolutely. Um, so we touched on it earlier when we were talking about the Giro. Juan Ayuso kind of, and this just feeds into the thing where I don't see him on this team long term. But he revealed that he wanted UAE Team Emirates Giro d'Italia leadership last year when Pog, like I guess late in prep, decided he was going to ride the Giro. Um, he said that they said that Pogacar swooped in, and his quote was, "My team decided I should do the tour, and there wasn't much to discuss." So I just like I'm telling you, this kid is too good. This kid's too good to end up playing second fiddle to Tadej Pogacar for the next 10 years. Like,
Yeah, yeah. And I think like if he somehow goes out there and does win the Giro, like for sure he'll be done with them. He'll be like, "Yep, I'm capable.
Yep.
Like, I want to try my hand at the tour." Yeah, I love it. It's good, good. That's good. I have one more cycling thing I want to
Sure.
squeeze in here from just some notes that I did not get to when we were talking Vuelta a España Femenina. This was some stuff. I think I wrote them down at stage 5. Yeah, or stage 6 when Voss got her second win. Well, first of all, there was in this race there were some helicopter shots that were just like absolutely surreal because they were going through this part of Spain where they were like growing sunflowers and different kinds of flowers, and so the landscape was like this, just like giant color blocks, like it looks like something out of like a painting or something like that. These giant blocks of color strewn across, and then you'd get these, those incredible helicopter shots where the helicopter's like way off to the side, and you're just like kind of seeing them streak by, and oh, and then it seemed like, yeah, in that section, like you'd have the streaking peloton, you'd have the color block landscapes, and then just off in the background, like just going side to side on the frame, wind farms, just like helicopter windmills, just those big modern looking. It's just wild landscapes. Anyways, what I wanted to talk about though was the lead out on stage 6 from Imogen Wolf. There was the greatest the shot where you were watching the helicopter shot from directly above, and you see you see Voss. She's like maybe fifth wheel back. She's kind of being vigilant at the front, and from the bottom of the frame, out of the bottom of the frame, here comes Imogen Wolf in the bright yellow, and she just like sails right past like 3 or 4 riders on their left to get up even with Voss. And all you just see is a quick turn of the head from Wolf to Voss, where she's just like, "Hey, I'm right here," like, hey, jump on, let's go. And Voss immediately, like the minute she turns the head and she starts going, and you see Voss just go and right on the wheel, and she just like she moves Voss up and puts her in perfect position, right? So now Voss is like in second wheel or something like that, and then she gets a little bit of a challenge from Misha Bredevold. Um, and Voss kind of, I don't know, she sort of slides like in a third. Well, Wolf then gets a little further out front. She's like, "Okay, I'm making this thing as fast." She's like, "I'm now going to ensure that nothing else changes in the front end of this race because I'm going to make it as hard as I can because I know these two are the best. So I'm going to make sure that the result of this race is Mariana sprinting against Misha Bredevold." So she does that. It was like so perfect. And then she just like, so she goes like another 150 meters and then pulls off. And just as I described, you got Bredevold and Voss up there with nobody else being able to contest it. And somehow Voss like gets it with, they showed the next day on the final stage, they actually showed the photo finish. I did not ever see a photo finish until the next day. They showed it real briefly, and she got it by 4 inches or so because you could not tell from looking at any of the slow mo finish line shots. But really cool. And then the cherry on the sundae was when you saw the front on shot of everyone coming through the finish line. Wolf ends up in like 10th at the end, but they get this fantastic slow-mo shot of her coming through, and she hits like the Tiger Woods fist pump. She's just like, yeah, like she knows the team just got it. She's so stoked. So, and then uh, there was so then there's a shot of SD Works, the whole team gathered together, all kind of chatting it up, and the winner of the race, Mariana Voss, comes rolling past them, and that whole team just gives her such respect. Like Bredevold, who just got beat, nothing but a big old smile on her face, turns right to her, like gives her the fist bump, like, "Great job, you're the fucking goat." And Von de Breggen's right there, and she's got a big smile, and as Voss goes back, she's like looking at the whole team, and they're all just like, it's so nice.
Yeah.
So nice, the
Yeah.
respect.
I mean,
So,
she's just
um,
amazing, dude. That's just like I just the more that I watch her race, like she just is. She's stoic and she is kind and she's just everything you want in a great racer. Humble, just she's amazing.
yep. And I will note that was her 257th career win. Totally insane.
Jesus.
That is a staggering number. To think that some
That's
writers go for their
ridiculous.
entire career and never get a single win, and she's done it 257 times. You want to hit this last topic and then call it a day?
Sure, sure. What was your? You had one like non-cycling topic in there.
Yes, and that was I saw a documentary. Are you a fan of Andy Kaufman? You into the Andy Kaufman thing?
Absolutely. Who's not a fan of Andy Kaufman? He's a genius ahead of his time.
Oh, I'm sure there's plenty of people who do not have a taste for what that guy was bringing. Um, but I've seen the Jim Carrey thing and
Man on the Moon.
yeah, and also there's a documentary about Jim Carrey making that movie, and I've seen that, and I used to watch Taxi and all that kind of stuff. But I saw this documentary, this newer documentary about Andy Kaufman. It's called "Thank You Very Much," which is based off of his
Right.
his line where he would like "Thank you very much" in his like uh, European guy voice or whatever, foreign man I think is what they called it. But if you really want to see like a film that really gets a closest at sort of helping you understand like what this guy was all about, like this is the movie for you. Like it really ties everything back to his childhood. And um I found Andy Kaufman's work to be absolutely fascinating. The entire thing is absolutely fascinating. For folks who don't know, he was a comedian, a stand-up comedian and actor, but he avant-garde doesn't begin to tell the story of what this guy was bringing. um and you learn in the movie that really he saw himself not as a comedian per se or an actor per se, but an entertainer. He got on stage to evoke reactions out of people. And the reaction was not that he was looking for was not necessarily laughs. Um,
He and he pushed boundaries that people didn't, especially, like in the moment you might not understand it, but like you go back and you watch it and it's just like the genius of Andy Kaufman was that like it wasn't it wasn't like he was going for something traditional. You watch traditional stand-up comedian and it's like joke, laugh.
hmm hmm
It's very structured in this very, comfortable way that you're accustomed to. And then Andy Kaufman comes along and you're expecting stand-up comedy, and that's not what you get. Like you don't know what you were going to get at any given time. You know what I mean? He would walk on the stage, and sometimes he's got a suitcase or like just these crazy like things that he would do, and you just would wonder. I mean, the Mighty Mouse thing, like the
I was just thinking of that one. I
yeah,
mean, he literally, so let's set this up. So he walks out on stage and there's a record player sitting there, and he starts the record player playing, and it's the theme to the Mighty Mouse show, and the sort of repeated kind of chorus of that of the Mighty Mouse theme is "Here I come
I
to save
come
the
to say
day." So yeah, so he puts the record on and he just stands there listening to the record, and then only when it gets to that line, he like basically like lip syncs it. He's like, "Here I come to save the
yeah,
day," and
yeah,
makes a
like
funny
with his
face,
hand up,
and
and it's
and,
just like
and the audience is just like, watching it like I, I don't know that, but there's something funny about that. Holy crap! And then, but it's already going along, and he's just doing the same thing, and you're thinking to yourself, "Wait, is he just going to do that again?" But now you're sort of anticipating it, and then he does it again, and it's just funnier, and it's fun. But part of what makes it funny is the audacity to stand there and not be telling a joke. You know what I mean? It's
yes,
insane. And he took stuff like that to even greater lengths. I mean,
yeah.
he did shows where he literally would get on stage and just read The Great Gatsby until damn near every single person in the audience had just gotten up and left. Like he wanted to challenge people, to push people, but you're never gonna forget that. You may have
No,
seen, Bill Burr and Chris Rock in concert, and you might remember some of the jokes they told or whatever. But if you went to an Andy Kaufman show and he just stood there and read, you'll tell that story for the rest of your life. You know what I
well,
mean? Oh, I want stuff.
Dave Chappelle has a great line where he says, he was getting heckled by some lady in his audience that was like, you know, I want my money back. You know what I mean? Like, I want my money back. This sucks. And he's like, look, lady, I don't know if you understand this, but I get paid for the attempt. I don't get paid, to make you laugh. I get paid for the
Mhm,
attempt to make you laugh. So
mhm.
It's
Well, great. This is a great documentary. I really recommend it. If you're into that, if you're into comedy or Andy
for
Kaufman or
sure.
anything, check it out. It's really good. It's called Thank You Very Much. All right. Well, we'll leave it there. Thanks for joining us. And we're talking major Giro d'Italia this coming weekend on Beyond the Slipstream. So make sure you listen to it when it arrives.
Appreciate it.
Lovely podcasting with you today, sir.
Absolutely, sir. I had a great time. Happy Mother's Day again to all the moms.
We'll see you soon.
Ale.
Ale.
The Team Bus is part of the Beyond the Slipstream family and is produced by Harperama. Find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Please like, subscribe, leave a review, and tell your friends about us. Thanks for listening. Talk to you next time. Ale!